पूछना पड़ेगा, मैम तो बोलिए कर देना करके।
A very good afternoon to one and all present over here. I, Prakriti Diwan, welcomes you all into the first lecture session of first stage of STTP 2021. We are grateful to have Professor Ranjit Singh as our guest speaker for this session. Professor Singh studied at Dr. H.S. Gaur Vishwavidyalaya, Sagar, MP, where he received B Pharma, M Pharma, and PhD degrees in pharmaceutical sciences between 1989 and 1997. He is recipient of J.P. Nair Memorial IDMA Gold Medal for standing first in B Pharma examinations, Professor Ishwar Chandra Memorial Gold Medal for earning first position in M Pharma examinations, UGC Junior Research Fellowship during PG, CSIR Senior Research Fellowship during PhD, and national and state scholarships during schooling. He received Distinguished Alumnus Award from Department of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Dr. H.S. Gaur Vishwavidyalaya, Sagar in 2006. Professor Singh is recipient of Senior Scientist Award 2009 from All India Medical Society, Hoshiarpur, Punjab, and Honorary Fellowship of Royal Society of Medicos, India 2011. He is also recipient of IDMA Best Paper Award 2012 in the area of pharmaceutics and Al Amin College of Pharmacy Award 2013 in the area of pharmacognosy under IJPER Awards. He is conferred with Atal Samrashtra Award 2019 by Indo-Nepal Samrashtra Organization and Best Keynote Speaker Uttar Pradesh in National Conference organized by SIT Public Welfare Trust, Jaunpur, UP in 2019. Pride of Indian Education Lifetime Achievement Award for Research and Academic Excellence in Pharmacy by Brands Impact 19th January 2020 and 101 Most Fabulous Healthcare Leaders by World Health and Wellness Congress and Awards 14 February 2020. Professor Singh has vast academic and industrial experience. Sir has more than 130 publications to his credit in journals of national and international repute. He has more than 61 presentations, invited lectures, books, and chapters to his credit. He has guided 38 M Pharma dissertation and 19 research scholars for PhD. He is on the panel of reviewers, advisory, and editorial board of different journals. He has delivered many invited lectures and attended a number of symposia, seminars, and conferences. Professor Singh is on the panel of expert member of various regulatory bodies like AICTE, PCI, and NBA. He is also the panel of different statutory bodies of many universities. Professor Singh has contributed immensely in the field of novel drug delivery system, herbal formulation, and standardization of drugs. His main area of research encompasses both novel as well as conventional oral drug delivery systems. He has varied research experience in the field of pharmacy, which includes drug discovery, novel analytical technique, herbal excipients and drugs, target drug delivery system, etc. Oral route of administration excites him too much, and he has produced some very good publications related to tablet dosage forms. Presently, Sir holds the position of Vice Chancellor, Shobit University, Gangoh. We welcome you, sir. May I request, sir, to start with the deliberation? Sir, please.
Thank you very much. Hope I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks a lot for the introduction, and just to admit and submit that I am just a humble learner, still learning so many things. I convey my heartiest thanks to the organizers at Columbia Institute of Pharmacy, the management committee, Jan Pragati Education Society. The name itself spells the mission. Kishore Jadwani ji, Harjit Hura sir, Amit Roy sir, all the member of organizing committee, CIP family, and respectable learned participants. For me, it is a great honor to be the first to interact with you on this particular occasion on AICT sponsored STTP. Thanks from the depth of my heart to Professor Amit Roy and his team. Most of my work is, I will not say done, but it is initiated by Professor Sraf, who gave a very nice opening knowledge-filled talk to all of you. That made my work a bit easy. The theme is, very interesting. It is an obvious theme, but it's very timely, well chosen. So I congratulate Professor Roy and his team for this. This theme is basically made up of two moieties. One is approaches to teaching. We all are teachers who are participating in this short-term program, and self-efficacy beliefs is the second moiety. So that make a very complete kind of structure, which is quite effective and capable. I was just going through the list of resource persons who are very eminent. That include my teachers, Professor Vyas and Professor Jain, and of course my classmates and other learned speakers. They will be talking to you over next 4 or 5 days about the teaching methodologies and how to do effective teaching. I will just touch very simple and very generalized things in this opening talk, because I'm addressing teachers. Teachers, they are considered backbone of the society and hence the nation. So that simply means that they have to play a very, very important, very significant role in the nation building. We have to understand our role. The teacher have to understand the role which he or she has to play at all levels. So it becomes significant because it contributes directly to nation building. So once nation is prosper, society is prosper. So you are doing a great job, and I know you are doing this job with 100% of efficiency. But as we say, nothing is complete. There is always a scope for improvement. That is why such discussions, such deliberations are there. And most interestingly, in the opening address by Professor Sraf, he gave us a few very interesting things like webinar response, how it is happening. He compared it with COVID. And then he presented one thing in form of a cartoon, what happened when we were attending physical conferences and the webinars. Anyhow, the whole COVID-19 experience has added many things to our lives. And I think most of us will realize and appreciate that I'm sitting in my office at a remote village named as Gangoh, and I'm able to interact with around 200 plus participants and some eminent people. So this is something which we learned from this COVID, which is a new normal. And we all know that when we go for some change, when we are asked to change, we always resist that change. This is basic human nature. But if you accept the change and try to adapt, then you always enjoy it. That was the word which was uttered by even Professor Sraf. Adaptability is key to success. And what I feel that if you want to perform well, then you have to be happy, you have to be motivated and satisfied. So that is 3 major requirements. And if you are having all these requirements, fulfilling all these requirements, there is no doubt that your performance will be 100%, be it in your personal life or in professional life, be it teaching or anything else. So you can be a good teacher once you are happy, motivated and satisfied. When your entry into classroom or your entry into the institute brings lot of enthusiasm, lot of energy, and when people wait for you in the institute, that means you are the person who is contributing to the national building and all building of the society. Even if we see it in context of our national education policy, which speaks so much, so many changes you will be looking in next 10 years. And there, the things have already started. And policy, I'm not going to talk on the policy, but I will just mention one very important point of that policy, that teacher is kept at the center of all the changes, be it in school education or be it in higher education. That means teacher is the most important component of this national education policy, and it will be successful only if teacher contributes to the tune of 100%. And you can only contribute nicely in positive way when you are motivated, happy, and learned, of course. So we have to move ahead with the time. We have to adopt the changes. We have to change ourselves, and then we have to do our duties. That obviously we are talking about teaching now, and the duty sincerely and with honesty. For effective teaching learning process, the teacher has to play a vital role. And it is possible when you are healthy and wise. I will put in bracket, you are healthy, wealthy, and wise. Your health, whether it is physical health, whether it is mental health, whether it is spiritual health, it just depends upon you. It is on your perception, on your thinking. My talk in next few minutes, I will be speaking to you on very general terms on self-efficacy and something about teaching approaches. There are so many changes, and you can adapt to changes once you know about the changes. That simply means you need to know about the changes, you need to know about the rule regulation, you need to know about national education policy and all these things. Once you know about them, only you can adapt yourself according to them. And when we speak of teaching, then there is teacher and there is taught. You need to understand your students. Once you understand your students, when you consider classroom as a community, because it is a community, you will find different kind of people there, sitting there, who are there to learn. So you have to understand the psychology of the learner, and you have to adjust yourself accordingly, what Professor Saab was saying in the inaugural address. Changes in education sector, who can bring those changes? It is only the student and the teachers, and to some extent other stakeholders. So you are at the center of that. I know when you can be happy and satisfied. Yes, if everything is good with your health, if you are economically stable, and economical stability even, it depends upon how much you wish and how much you need. I mean, everything is centered upon you. You can be happy in all kind of conditions. The basic thing of a good teaching is that learner must enjoy. It should be participatory kind. When students start enjoying your class, then they learn everything. And when you bring positivity, motivation, inspiration in that particular community, they love you, they respect you, and they wish to listen to you. And when they listen to you, there is all possibility that they will learn. You have to understand the expectation of the learner. Now, as I told, this whole program is consisted of two mighties. One is what is self-efficacy, and what are the approaches to teaching. Approaches to teaching vary from person to person. If you ask 2-3 persons to teach same subject, there will be different ways, different way of delivery, and we have to accept that. And all ways are good. No way is bad. That's what I understand. You need to be flexible. You need to customize. That means you have to understand the psychology of the learner, and accordingly you have to adjust. When we speak of self-efficacy, as I just in the beginning I mentioned that you need to be happy, and you can be happy if you believe in your self-efficacy. What is self-efficacy? The word itself explained it. Ability to effectively handle the tasks, the obligation, and the challenges related to professional activity. If you're able to do it effectively, you are self-efficient. And obviously, it influences academic outcomes, well-being, and the work environment. You are one who can change a dull academic concept by putting life with visual and practical learning experience. Your lecture could be a very simple lecture where there is no variation, where it is only monologue. So student will not enjoy that. But when you bring some life to this lecture, to that academic concept, by giving what you call real world examples, that becomes, interesting. So self-efficacy basically is nothing but believing oneself, and it matters. It matters to face the challenges. Self-efficacy is central to what Professor Sra was saying in the morning, social cognitive theory, which emphasizes the role of observational learning, social experience, and reciprocal determination in developing a personality. Self-efficacy is comprised of a person's attitude, abilities, and cognitive skills. Cognitive skill we also call the capacities or functions or the abilities. And these skills, they are brain-based skills which are needed for the acquisition of knowledge, because if you want to deliver, you need to acquire knowledge first and then manipulating it. Manipulation, we generally take it in negative term, but manipulation in positive way is when you manage things skillfully. So manipulation and of the information and then reasoning. See, this is what we call as cognitive skills. You have to believe in your ability to succeed in a particular situation, or I could say in all situations. These beliefs, they determine how you will think, behave, and feel. If you are positive, everything will be positive for you. If you go with the off mood into class, you cannot perform. That means you have to improve your perception. That plays a very important role. I have realized it myself. When I go with a positive attitude into the class, whenever I was taking classes, I enjoy taking class. And you must appreciate, I think you all will appreciate that when you deliver a very good lecture, at the end of lecture, you realize that. You enjoy that. So that should be a daily routine. This self-belief play a very important role. How you feel about yourself, that is very important thing. You should have that can-do attitude. You should have that positive attitude. And secondly, it play a very important role in how you achieve goals successfully. So self-efficacy is an essential part of self-system. That is why I mentioned in the beginning itself that the theme is well chosen. Two things are connected very nicely, teaching and self-efficacy. The important thing is that how you perceive situations. It varies from person to person. But we cannot change much from our originality, but we can always adapt ourselves. We can always adapt ourselves. Why to adapt? Because we want to keep ourselves happy and satisfied. And if you are happy and satisfied, you will perform well. There is no doubt in that. Then how you behave in response to different situations. That's how to perceive the situation and how to behave. Now, once you are able to master this, then you are a person who can deliver things, be it teaching or be it something else. People with strong sense of self-efficacy, what happens with them? That they develop a deeper interest in activities they participate. That is important. If you are assigned a task, be it taking a class or be it some administrative work from the institute, please start liking this. That is the very first step. If you don't like the task, then you will not be able to do it. So you have to develop a deeper interest. That's what people with self-efficacy do. Then you form a stronger sense of commitment to their interests and activities. You should have that commitment. You see, what we do, if I have to cite an example, what we do, how we take things. I've seen many faculties at junior or even mediocre or senior level. They are more interested. छुट्टियां कितनी होंगी? मुझे कब जाने को मिलेगा? मैं कितने बजे क्लास छोड़ सकता हूं? मुझे कब? See, these are very important things, but these are secondary. These are secondary. मेरी salary time पे नहीं आई. In private sector, I know salary is an issue. But if you can't change the system, you please adopt to the system. जब नहीं चेंज कर सकते, हम अपने आप को उसके साथ adapt and adjust कर सकते हैं. And if that is not acceptable to us, then we can change that. You can change the place if you are not able to change that place. So third thing is they recover quickly from setbacks and disappointments. See, being human, we all have all kind of moods. I'm not saying that I'm happy always. I have all kind of feelings. Sometimes I'm sad, sometimes I'm disappointed. When I feel a setback, when someone is not following me, I feel disturbed. But the time by which you come out of these setbacks or disappointments, that matters. That setback, that time should be very less, and that is something in your hand. No one can snatch you from your happiness. That is first thing. I am not a prolific reader, but I have read one thing which was said by Mahatma Gandhi, that nobody can hurt you without your permission. हर आदमी आपको हर्ट करना शुरू कर देगा तो आप डिस्टर्ब रहोगे, और अगर आप डिस्टर्ब रहोगे then you will not be able to perform well. So friends, be happy and perform well. And once you perform well, believe me, you will get things in return. Be it a job in a private setup where there is a system, where there is no system. Once you prove your efficacy, people would like to retain you. They will run after you. There's no doubt in that. I'm an example of that. I have changed many jobs. And view challenging problems as tasks to be mastered. Now, I may be given a task which I don't know anything about that. What do I have to do in that? I have two options. Either I refuse from the task, that is not the way. I have to accept the task and then I have to master that. For example, I was not knowing anything about this Zoom meeting or Google Meet or how to speak online, how to join. So once when I was pushed into this, jab thakka maar diya gaya, then I tried to learn. Even I'm not a perfect, but now I know that much which is serving my purpose, and daily I'm learning something. So you have to view the challenge or the problems as tasks to be mastered. You have to be mastered. Once you know all the arts, you will be a person who will be looked after by all, who will be run after by all. The management, your boss will be after you. Or एक चीज और मान लीजिए, what we do actually when we are given more tasks, then we get disturbed. If you are being given more tasks, that means you are efficient person. जब आपको काम मिलना बंद हो जाए, समझो आपका chapter close हो गया. So if you are being given more tasks, that means the management is behind you and they believe in your self-efficacy, and you believe in your self-efficacy. Now I will come to the persons who are with weak self-efficacy, and what such persons do. You have to find out, dear friends, if you are one, then you have to change. They avoid challenging tasks. If somebody, your boss is giving you the task, then you start to make excuses. Sir, aise nahi hoga, kaise karenge? So don't make excuses. Accept the task and then start doing that. Persons with weak self-efficacy, they always avoid challenging tasks. Secondly, they believe that difficult tasks or difficult situation is beyond their capabilities. This thought is to be said. You have to shed this thought, because everyone is perfect. Every human being is a complete in himself or herself and have all those things which others have. So that means any task given to you, you can do that. You should not have this belief that a particular task or a particular situation is beyond your capabilities. So you should have that will-do attitude. Then when you focus on your personal feelings and negative outcome, you see, when you will do a thing, there is a possibility of success, there is a possibility of failure. Even if you fail, you should not have any negative thought about that. It should give emphasis to you. It should give impetus to you so that you perform better in future. So there should be, no bad feeling from any failing, or there should be no negative outcome. Weak self-efficacy persons, they quickly lose confidence in their personal abilities. Now, if you keep on thinking all the way that you are not one who can do this job, you are one who cannot do this job, you are not capable of doing this job, then this will lead to negativity, and that negativity will lead to you nowhere, and you will be a big zero. So you have to find out your strengths, and you have to find weaknesses and to remove them, who are successful in your eyes. From where you can get self-efficacy. See, because if you are happy, if you are motivated, if you are energized, if you are a person with positive attitude, then you can perform well. We all agree to that. So how you can improve your self-efficacy? There are many ways. I will mention 4 ways, but was shown by Professor Saf in his presentation also. mastery experiences. That is, you have to learn from successful accomplishments of the tasks. That successful accomplishment may be by you or maybe by somebody else. So once you see that a person is successful, you can find out how the person is successful in doing that job. And from that experience, you can always become a master. That is one thing. Secondly, you can learn from social modeling. You have to witness others who do tasks successfully. This is connected to the first, how to master your experiences. When you are successful, you learn from your experience. When you are not successful, you learn from others' experiences. This is called social modeling. You have to witness and find out how other people are becoming successful. Then social persuasion. Persuade to believe that a person has capability to do. We all know the story of Jambat and Hanumanji. We all know that sometimes we don't know our capabilities. Here I would say, I will put this point to the leaders. You are all leaders at one point or other. You have to motivate your juniors. When you develop a can-do attitude in juniors, when you say that, yes, you can do it, that is called social persuasion. So that strength comes to that. So always be motivating to others, be your colleagues, be your juniors, or even your seniors. And fourth thing to enhance your social efficacy, your self-efficacy, is psychological response. Own responses and emotional reaction to the situation. See, by seeing situation, you can be happy, you can not be happy, you can be sad, it depends upon you. So moods, because it depends upon your mood, your emotional states, your physical reaction, and your stress levels. These are four things which will determine how successfully you are accepting a job and you're doing a job. And friends, you can control all these, whether it is your mood, whether it is your emotional state, whether it is your physical reactions or your stress levels. It is you who can control that, none else. You can do one thing. Whenever you're in stress, you know, when you are in stress, you cannot perform well. So you can find out all those sources from where you get inspiration. It could be some of your friends. It could be your boss. It could be your head. It could be your junior, where you can sit for some time, talk to the person. And you see, I have realized this, that you may be disturbed to any extent, but when you sit across with some person, when you discuss, when you communicate, your stress, they come down. So you have to minimize stress and elevate mood. And if you're able to do all this, to mastery experiences, social modeling, social persuasion, and your psychological responses, if you are able to control, you can enhance your self-efficacy. And in turn, you will be a person who will be filled with positive energy. I will give some example of, how you can exemplify high self-efficacy. You all know this example. You can have an example of somebody who is chronically ill, but he feels that everything will be okay. दवाई भी तभी असर करती है जब अंदर से strength आती है. Any person who is chronically ill, but he is so strong that he or she feels that he will be okay. This adds to that, and you will find that after some time, the person improves. Other example could be a student who feel confident that he can learn. It is unique. You see, it is applicable to the learner as well as it is applicable to the teacher. When I believe in myself that yes, I can teach, then I can do that. And an example, a woman with some new job role, if she feels that she can do it, she can do it. If in the beginning itself, you feel that this is something new, I will not do it, yes, certainly you will not be able to do it. So you have to develop that can-do attitude. And I know everyone has that trait. Everyone has that character, that attribute. You just to express that. Self-efficacy plays a very important role in health psychology. As I told you, you have to be physically, mentally, and spiritually strong. If you are strong in that sense, if you are healthy, only then you can think healthy things. So your health psychology, if you are self-efficient, if you believe in self-efficacy, if you believe in that you can do it, then certainly your health psychology will be strong. And this is how people, they manage their health, nutrition, and illness. Because you are one person. You are playing a role of teacher. You are playing a role of father or mother, you're playing a role of brother or sister, and so on and so forth. You cannot separate your social obligations from your professional obligations. अगर मैं सुबह घर पे लड़ाई करके आऊंगा तो मेरे पे इफेक्ट पड़ेगा and it will affect my efficiency. That means person is one. So you have to adjust and adapt yourself, and you have not to carry things. You have not to carry things. You have not to. Sometimes what we do, we feel angry on someone and we shed our anger on somebody else. That should not be done. In fact, right? So how to adjust to the situations? How you can evaluate your self-efficacy? It is very simple. There are certain well-defined tests which you call general self-efficacy scale, and then there is one other way is self-efficacy questionnaire. Even if you don't do this, you can always evaluate yourself. But I believe in that it is you who knows yourself very well. Nobody else can. You know about your strengths. You know about your weaknesses. You know about everything that you have. So if you are able to identify your weaknesses that you can do very easily, then you can, of course, think of removing them. And only then you will be a strong person. Self-efficacy can be built up by celebrating the success. You see, it depends how you can build up your self-efficacy. There are different ways. One is celebrate your success. Second, observe others. It is very important. You know, you learn many things by observing others. Third, seek positive affirmations, positive feedback. What was mentioned by Professor Sraf in the morning when he was speaking of good teaching. If you are not taking feedback, honest feedback from the students, then you will not be able to improve. अगर मुझे अच्छा सुनना अच्छा लगता है, if I believe in that, everybody should come to me and praise me, everybody will praise me. But then there will be no scope of improvement. So that means you should be ready for the feedback, all kind of feedback, positive or negative. And that is possible only if you give that platform to the students. If I speak of students, if you are a boss, then you have to give that platform to your colleagues. That courage to your colleagues, that they should have that courage to speak about you, your positive aspect, your negative aspects. But happens generally that everybody comes to you and praises yourself. Sir, you are great, sir. Aap mahan hain. But sometimes you can give that platform to the stakeholder, maybe a student, maybe a colleague, to ask, you tell me my weaknesses. In class, generally we don't accept anything from the student, and accept in the sense that if some student is criticizing, we just aim at that student in a negative way. I think we have to develop that courage to listen to our criticism, what you call as constructive criticism, and then we can always improve. The first thing that I mentioned, this is the second thing, you take the feedback and improve, and the first thing you know about yourself. None other than you know about yourself as much as you know. I think that you always appreciate that. And if I know myself, I know my weaknesses, I can always improve upon that. So self-efficacy is must for good performance. And I think this is now more clear to you how self-efficacy will play a role in making you a successful person, or I should say a successful teacher. Now, the second one is program is obviously the teaching, approaches to teaching. As a teacher, whether you are a young teacher or an experienced teacher, you all know how you can teach well. Different goals. In the morning itself, Professor Sraf mentioned, I am again referring him about the learner-centric teaching. That is one thing. Now it is only teacher-centric teaching or learning. We have to change. We have to make it more participatory, and you have to find out ways and means that could be, generalized ways and means, or it could be very specific individual ways and means, which is developed by some teacher. And that can be developed only once you take the feedback, once you are able to, read the psychology of the learners. You always, when you're standing in the class, you can read the faces of the students, whether they are satisfied or not. You can read that, and accordingly you can change. Your lecture should not be monotonous. It should be, full of things which create interest in the learner. Now, if I speak of teaching, then we have to understand what teaching is, what is the purpose of teaching, what are different processes of teaching, what are different, types of teaching, what are different teaching methodologies, which we call pedagogy, what are the qualities of a good teacher, that is very important, how to teach best, and how to assess yourself, how to assess your student and how to assess yourself. We are working on a system which is, I will not say monotonous. The system is good that, yes, we teach in the class, then we take exam, and the performance in the examination is taken as the criteria for success. That is one way of doing things. But now even national education policy says that even the evaluation, the assessment will be different. It will not be the kind we are doing right now. So please read the national education policy also, so that you can change yourself accordingly. Teaching basically, it is a process intended for learning, and by inducing a behavioral change in the learner, that is very important, in the taught, and communicating message with impact on the audience. Teaching, if I say, is you have to communicate a message, that is flow of information from the teacher to the student, but you have to communicate that message with an impact on the audience. And the audience that you deal, it may be a 60 student class or 100 student class, but friends, the student, they vary, they are different level of student are there. You have to move to their level to make them understand. You may be a very good teacher, you may be very intelligent, you know many things, but if you're not able to convey them emphatically, you're not able to express them in a way which could be understood by the student, it is of no use. And I tell you, you all believe in that you can judge your success by simply seeing the faces of the students. So teaching basically is to create knowledge, awareness, and feeling in the taught. It is not simple information. You have to create knowledge, you have to create awareness and feeling in the student. Teacher should be, well prepared. There should be no communication barriers. That is one thing. If you are very good in English speaking and if your student not able to understand that, there's no use. So language should be one where the audience, the student is able to understand. So you have to go well prepared and obviously with no communication barriers. Your message, that is the content, it should be clear, accurate, brief and specific. We call it CABS. And you have to find out that the material that you are delivering, the information that you are transferring to the taught is sensitizing the taught, and the taught that the student is receptive. If he or she is not receptive, there is no use of uttering anything in front of that. So you have to create interest. Teaching basically equips one with cognitive domain, that is with knowledge, and secondly with psychomotor domain, that is with feeling and interest, and third is affective domain, which is to do practice. Three things achieved by the teaching, and if you are able to achieve these three things, your teaching is not effective. If you practice teaching regularly with positive feeling, you take a topic, you start studying it, start learning it with positive feeling. You have to start liking that topic or subject. The subject will be internally absorbed and retained. That is first thing. How you can be knowledgeable? You have to create that interest in the topic so that it is absorbed internally in your brain. This is called internalization. So first step in teaching is internalization. We have to understand the subject, you have to understand, read it, and to retain it. And then you read and acquire it in such a way that whenever you need it again, your cognitive domain recall the stored facts and concepts automatically. If you study a topic, if you're able to understand that topic and retain that, and if you're able to recall the same when it is needed, automatically it is automatism. So first is internalization and then automatism. Once you get these two things, then you are ready to profess and you will be a president. So profess here means affirm one's faith. That means you know the topic well and you are able to deliver that well. Internalization as well as automatism. Teaching, it could be passive, it could be learner-oriented, it could be teacher-oriented. You have to go for learner-oriented kind of teaching, or it could be mix of all. Methods, we all know there are many methods of delivery. One is now it's online, like I'm talking to you. It could be lectures, discussions, seminars, symposium, tutorials, integrated kind of methods, talking points, sessions, workshops, conferences, etc., etc. But are the criteria for good teaching? I'm just discussing with you the things which you may be knowing earlier, but just to remind you, to refresh in your memories, you should have thorough knowledge. That is good concept. If you have thorough knowledge of the topic, you will be able to deliver it nicely. Then you have to organize the contents. You see, it is very important. You know the topic, you know the subject, but how you deliver it, it should be very organized. Lesson planning, what we call it. Then quality of the contents and quantity. It is very important. The quality and the quantity. And then sequence of how to deliver that. What is to be delivered first, followed by other and other. What is the relevance? And it should be learner oriented. So this is criteria for good teaching. And how you can have good teaching practice. I will give you 3-4 things. I think you may be following these. In the beginning itself, when you go into the class, you have to set induction. That means you have to brief about the topic so that the student is receptive. You have to create interest in the audience about the topic. That is called to set the induction. Then you have to introduce about the topic. You have to tell about the title and what they will be learning from that title and what are the learning and performance objectives of that particular topic. That is the second thing you have to do as a teacher. Topic organization. That is, what is the relevance of this topic to their course as well as to the social life. That is very important in the real world. What is the relevance of that? What will be the sequence of events while you're describing that particular topic? How to edit and how to manage time. Time management is very important. Then the fourth is reinforce and stimulate. It should be reinforcing or stimulating. Reinforcing means you have to make it very interesting for the audience by using certain figures, certain problem, certain exercises, certain real world examples. And it should be a dialogue, actually. It should be a dialogue. It is very important. It should not be a monologue. You can always find out certain students who are not interested. Then you can always make them receptive by asking them very simple questions and interacting with them. So it should be a dialogue. And then stimulating. You have to repeat the main points. That is very important. And you have to stress the important points. You have to give pauses. You see, your talk should be very, attractive one. You have to give pauses. You should have very good body movements, gestures, voice modulation. Voice modulation. It should not be monotone. Voice modulation. You may crack some jokes in between. Give some examples. And eye contact with the audience or the students. And finally, you have to summarize at the end. In summary, you have to find out whether everything about the topic is explained. You have to repeat the learning objectives with stress on the main points, and then you have to complete the delivery. That is the summarizing. That is how you can make your talk interesting. Now, we have to keep in mind that teaching basically is an art. It is not so simple that you read something from the book and you reproduce itself in the class as such only. You have to do it as an art. I think all are the pharmacy teachers and we all know how we call pharmaceutical art, be it a label, be it a presentation of a dosage form. Teacher and student developments are mutual. We have to understand if our student is developing, then we are all developing. So development of teacher and the student is mutual. It is very similar to that when we go for some research publication, doing some research, doing some publication, it comes to us first. It's our achievement, but in turn, it is also achievement of the institute. So this is mutual. If you are able to develop your student, you are developing yourself. Give best lectures, that is important. You know, students are immature, they are less skilled and emotional. You have to keep in mind. And being a teacher, you are mature, skilled, and composed. So you have to understand and listen to the students. Even a simple things. You have to be interactive. It should be a dialogue. You have to create that platform in the class so that students are able to speak. आप ऐसे टीचर ना बने, वो तो मुझसे डरते हैं, डरने वाला काम खत्म हो गया। ना ही ऐसे एम्प्लॉयर बने, ना ही ऐसे बॉस बने, ना ही ऐसे टीचर बने। You should give students that platform where they are able to discuss each and everything with you. They should have courage to do that. As a teacher, I think there are 5 habits which a good teacher should have. And if you have all these 5 habits, find friends. If not, then try to develop. You must enjoy teaching. That is very first requirement. Isko burden mat lijiye. I will cite one example of Professor D.P. Pathak, who is in Delhi. He always, when we sit together and talk of teaching load, he said, why we say teaching load? It should be teaching pleasure. So enjoy teaching. Embrace change. That is the very important thing. We should be adaptable to the changes. That is, basic human tendency. When changes are there, we always resist to them. Even me. अभी ये नया आया था, वेबिनार करो, ये करो. हमारे बॉस हमें कहते थे वेबिनार करो. I used to say क्या रखा है वेबिनार में. But then I find that yes, if it is change, if it is a new normal, I have to accept it and I have to go for it. Spread positivity. It is very important. When you see, students should wait for you in the class. जिस दिन आप क्लास में ना आए, स्टूडेंट आपको ढूंढे कि सर और मैडम कहाँ चले गए. If you are such a teacher, you are a very positive teacher. You have to spread positivity. Find inspiration. You should be a source of inspiration and energy to all, not only to your student but to your colleagues also. And you should have a capability to make a difference. Every day you make a difference. It should not be monotone. So that you can do only if you can develop self-efficacy. So self-efficacy is very important. For effective delivery, you have to keep in mind that it is impossible to absorb all. If you have a class of 1 hour, if you think that whatever you will be uttering in 1 hour, student will be able to absorb that. No, dear, we all are pharmacy guys, and when we take things by oral route, what percent bioavailability is. We have to understand how much information is being absorbed by the student to make that interesting, or you do something to make that more absorbable, like when we go for solubility enhancement in case of pharmacy. Because everyone has limited short-term memory, you have to keep this in mind. You have to keep in mind that your target is all students, not only the 5 to 10% top student of the class. So whether it is average student or below average student, your target that whatever you teaching in the class, every student should learn. So you have to come to their expectation, their level, to make them understand. And this can be made more interesting by giving some real-time examples, and sometimes some examples which are connected to real world. You should have effective approach. You should have active thinking and learning. And this is how you can be able to do effective delivery. And that is the purpose of our teaching, that whatever you are giving there, the learner should learn and learn with enjoy. Make it participatory. And for this to be very, successful, as in the opening lecture itself, that feedback is important. So you always take feedback, and once you take feedback, according to that feedback, please adapt yourself and change yourself. Embrace changes. Only then you can be, a successful teacher, a successful mentor, a successful guide, and all what we call mentor, guide, philosopher, right? So this is all about my lecture. I was just going through some, what is new in teaching. So I could find around 50 approaches for teaching, which are being adapted at different countries at school level or higher education level. I'm not uttering them here, but I know many of these things are such provisions are incorporated in our national education policy. And if we read that, and if we try to change, we have to adopt that in next 10 years, but if we try to start changing right from this day, then we will be able to become a successful teacher. Be it blended teaching, classroom teaching, online teaching, we speak of MOOCs, we speak of SWAM. So these all things, we have to adapt ourselves to the changes, we have to learn things, and we have to make our students learn new things. I wish this STTP a very grand success, and I'm sure that the deliberation on next few days will be quite enriching and fruitful to all the participants. This is all from my side. Happy to be with you. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Jai Bharat, Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Participants may ask questions if they're willing to ask. Sir, there are some queries of the participants who are joined with us via YouTube. I am transferring the question to you. Kindly consider and clear their queries. First query is how to develop interest among students during online classes.
Online classes, I think one thing is that it is a temporary phase. Face-to-face reading cannot be, substituted by this online classes. That as far as the developing of interest is concerned, I think this is what I feel is how much connected you are with the students. That connect will definitely develop that interest. You have to convince them that whatever you are going to deliver online, by volume, base, and measures which will create interest. There are many ways, even in online, where you can create interest in the students. The first thing is the mutual trust with the student, that they know that whatever our sir is going to deliver is very interesting, will be very interesting, and will be useful. So that mutual trust is to be developed. What I feel, dra dhamaka ke aajkal kuch nahi hota hai. We have to find out the ways where we can create interest in them by developing the mutual interest, mutual understanding, and by following certain teaching methodologies which are new and which create more interest.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for sharing your profound knowledge with us. It will be a good pleasure for us to pay attention to you once more in our future events. For our second lecture session, we have Dr. Nalini Sastry. Kindly join the session with the same link at 1:30 p.m. Thank you.